Welcome to Attainable Green. I'm Jess, and today we're going to do a Catasetum update. Now, this is part 3 of my update for the summer, and this one is about my plants that are potted in sphagnum moss. So, let's begin. The first plant is the Catasetum Portuguese star crossed with Catasetum lucis. Now, this plant is probably one of the larger of the Catasetums that I own. It has 4 pseudobulbs and 1 new growth. And it looks like this plant is matured already, so the pseudobulb is already pretty plump and almost to completion. So since this plant came out of dormancy pretty early, and it was right around the time when there was a lot of moisture in the air and in the ground, this one got attacked by snails. So there is a lot of snail damage on the leaves. There is also some spotting from happy sap, and it's not spider mites, so it's doing pretty well. I'm hoping that this year or even next year, this plant will be mature enough to start blooming. The next plant is the Monn Millennium Magic, and this is known for its black flowers. This plant has 1 mature pseudobulb and 1 new growth. And it has a little bit of sunburn and some dried leaf tips from when it hit the side of the humidity tent before I moved it outside. So the leaves of this plant is turning a little bit yellow, and that's completely okay. It's getting really bright light, and I think it can handle it. So far it's looking really healthy. The next plant is the Catasetum Portuguese star crossed with Catasetum tigrinum SVO. Now I have 2 of these plants, but the second one is pretty slow coming out of dormancy. But this particular one has 2 bulbs and has 1 new growth. I've noticed that tigrinum hybrids tend to give off a lot of happy sap, and so there is a lot of spotting throughout this plant. I know it's not spider mites, but even so, this spotting is just kind of more of a cosmetic issue. Now the last plant is the Catasetum Orchidglade crossed with Catasetum tigrinum. Now this plant has 2 bulbs and 1 new growth, and also like the other plants, it has some spotting from happy sap and some slight leaf tip dieback due to hitting the side of the humidity tent. Now all of these plants are potted in moss. They are outside. They started off coming out of dormancy in a humidity tent, and once they got too big for the humidity tent, I moved them completely outdoors. So they get about 6 to 8 hours of sunlight, and they're watered every day or every other day with all the other catasetums. And so far, I think they're looking really good and really healthy. Because I noticed that the water reservoir in the PET pots are empty by the end of the day, that is giving me a signal to water all the rest of my plants regularly. I think because I'm trialing other methods, it's helping me stay on top of watering for all of these plants, and so they're not as stressed. I did notice that the ones that are potted in pure moss, the larger of the plants are drying off faster. So even before the end of the day, the moss is already pretty dry. And that to me is very telling. These plants are very, very thirsty during its active season because it's growing so fast. And last year I could barely keep up with the watering of these. And so the bulbs and the plants overall weren't as big. But this year I think I'm doing a better job at keeping them well watered. So they're doing much better. I'm using NutriCoat slow release fertilizer for all of these plants, and so far I'm liking the results. Since these plants are next to the plants in the PET method, they're also getting patrolled by ants, and so I think that is controlling the pest issue overall on these plants. So there are a lot more plants that are potted in this moss method, but they're a little bit slower and further behind, so I'm going to save that for another video. But for now, this is how my catasetums are doing potted up in sphagnum moss. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, Attainable Green, for all the latest updates. And hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Bye!